Добрый вечер всем. Рады приветствовать вас в кинотеатре «Аполло», как и каждую пятницу. Сегодня у нас очень важный разговор нам предстоит. Это не значит, что другие разговоры не важные, но сегодняшний особенно ценен, и особенно ценно то, с каким опытом и бэкграундом, и знаниями пришел к нам наш спикер, который расскажет о себе чуть больше сам, я думаю. А я коротко представлю его. Это Ярослав Минкин, он из Украины. И лично для меня, я сделаю свою маленькую персональную презентацию, лично для меня было дико интересно прочитать биографию Ярослава, у которого, кажется, самая многослойная биография из активистов. Он родился на Донбассе, жил в Крыму и рос в Крыму, кажется. Занимался разными социальными проектами и миротворческими проектами, в том числе в Западной Украине, насколько я поняла. И строил такую сеть активистскую и миротворческую по всей Украине. И мне кажется, это может быть довольно такое поверхностное слово, но это правда уникальный опыт. И не все активисты в любых странах имеют настолько разнообразный опыт деятельности. Помимо миротворческих проектов и активизма, Ярослав также поэт и победитель нескольких баттлов, так называемых поэтических, что тоже очень важно и интересно для человека, который занимается дебатами и дискуссиями, потому что эта чувствительность к слову в наше время стала невероятно важной и еще более важной, чем раньше. Я надеюсь, что мы обо всем поговорим, обо всех этих опытах. И буквально через несколько мгновений я передам слово нашему спикеру, но хочу напомнить, что каждый вечер мы здесь собираемся не только для того, чтобы поговорить в таком интересном пространстве о важных вещах, но и для того, чтобы поддержать людей, которые нуждаются в помощи из-за нынешнего этапа войны в Украине. Мы поддерживаем проект «Помогаем уехать» или «Helping to Live». И поэтому мы очень просим вас не стесняться оставлять даже самые маленькие донаты, так называемые пожертвования, на нашем столе. Когда вы будете уходить, если вы будете уходить раньше или позже, в конце или в середине, не стесняйтесь, любая сумма для нас важна. Проект работает, люди запрашивают помощь, поэтому мы не должны забывать о том, что война идет, и останавливаться нельзя. Спасибо большое. Я думаю, что Ярослав нам все расскажет.
Я думаю, что я начну очень коротко про себя. Наверное, за 5 минут постараюсь быстро проскочить. Я занимался всегда искусством, и меня интересовало очень искусство с самого раннего возраста. Так получилось, что я родился в Луганске. Это часть Донбасса. Думаю, что вы примерно представляете. Это еще некоторые называют Дальний Восток Украины. Вот. С 3 сторон там граница с Россией, но при этом никогда не ходило прямого поезда из Луганска в Россию. Нужно было всегда ехать через Харьков. Это себе можно подвесить, запомнить. Родился в Луганске, когда мне было 2 года. Мой папа, он из еврейской семьи. У него даже мама и папа, когда поженились, у них была одна фамилия Минкины. Вот, и как бы из фильма Моисеевна Минкина вышла за Михаила Вениаминовича. И, в общем, даже и фамилию не надо было менять. Они вот все были с одного такого этого большого рода. Удобно. Вот. Мой папа, когда мне было 2 года, он сказал, что фразеологизмы можно, да, использовать. В гробу видел этот Донбасс, понятный, да, фразеологизм, что он его терпеть не может, всю эту брутальную пролетарскую ментальность, и он хочет уехать. И когда его над ним так, смеясь, спросила его родственники, спросили, куда же ты поедешь, он говорит, вы знаете, я вот так отдыхал в Ялте год назад, и я туда уеду. В Ялту уехать было невозможно. В Ялту невозможно было в Советском Союзе уехать, потому что это было такое очень элитарное место. И прописаться в Крыму было... Прописаться? Не знаю, знаете ли вы, что это. Иметь регистрацию в Крыму было невозможно. Тем не менее, он уехал, за один день нашел работу, так как он врач. И таким образом я вырос в Крыму, в Ялте, в одном из самых криминальных районов города. Ялта, кроме того, что это место, где Сталин, Рузвельт и Черчилль подписали вот эту Ялтинскую конференцию, еще она известна тем, что там было очень много туристов всегда. Даже в советское время приплывали такие большие пароходы, оттуда выходили туристы из Германии и других стран, смотрели город и плыли дальше. И поэтому вся культура Крыма, точнее южного берега Крыма, была построена на одном: как кинуть туристов. Ну, как их обмануть по максимуму и наиболее эффективно. Всех неместных называли всегда одним словом. Вот в Ялте всех неместных в 90-е, а в 90-е в, знаете, постсоветских странах это не что-то приятное, как у вас, а что-то очень такое ужасное, как у нас. Вы это знаете, правда? Вот если знаете, вы знаете что-то про 90-е? Там самая большая смертность, самое большое криминальное света нет, помните, света нет, воды нет. Вот, это называлось 90-е у нас. Вот в Европе любят показывать фильмы про 90-е, там такие все классные, модные, там в кроссовках уже там наушники появились. А вот у нас тогда свет появлялся. Вот, всех неместных в Ялте называли одним словом — лохи. И это было даже как бы не обидное слово, это просто было название. Вот как, например, говорят там грузины, россияне, украинцы. А в Ялте всех, кто не ялтинцы, называли одним словом — лох. Вот если бы вы приехали ко мне в гости, мои бы друзья меня спросили: о, это ялтинцы или лохи? Я бы сказал: это лохи. Вы бы даже не могли бы обижаться. Но это такое было словосочетание. В то время появилось очень модно сначала быть как бы рокером, потом рэпером, а потом стали появляться скинхеды. Это такие были неприятные молодые люди, которые исповедовали культ насилия по отношению к другим людям на этнической и любой другой почве. И в основном они приезжали к нам, откуда эта культура бралась. Какой город традиционно для Ялты считался светочем неонацистской культуры? Не подсказывают. Откуда к нам главные скинхеды приезжали? Конечно, из Москвы. Московские скинхеды приезжали в Ялту летом, они ходили в таких этих берцах, ходили постоянно, зигали, и им очень хотелось найти врагов. Они еще приезжали с этими собаками мерзкими. В смысле, собаки были хорошие, но они были очень плохо воспитаны, всех остальных обижать. И им очень нужны были враги, потому что любая культура насилия базируется на поиске врагов и их как-то уничижении, что там это делают с врагами, с теми, кто тебе не нравится. Вот. И им очень не хватало врагов, и мы им в этом были очень нужны. Потому что я тогда решил нашить себе зачеркнутую свастику на куртке, такую на спину, знаете. Слушал Егора Летова, не знаю, знаете ли, это такой очень культовый Сид Вишес, но только круче, потому что из-за него еще можно было поканчивать жизнь самоубийством, и это считалось круто. Ну вот как Сид Вишес, только вот советский и такой очень... Он потом сговнился, не знаю, знаете ли вы этот глагол, очень хороший. Вот, ну понятный, сговнился. И я оказался мишенью для многих скинхедов по моим идеологическим взглядам. И это было настолько неприятно, что когда я заканчивал 11 класс, то есть когда мне было 17 лет, я, в общем, уже искал пути, как правильно ходить в школу, домой, всегда разными путями, потому что я понимал, что в каких-то местах могут быть засады или просто... Меня идентифицировали везде. Я всегда носил на себе колокольчик, потому что была такая песня «Время колокольчиков», и вот я решил, что это время настало, и поэтому я всегда носил на себе колокольчик. Иногда ходил еще с большим колоколом, но это было реже. В основном с маленьким, но на шее. И мне было реально сложно, потому что иногда приходили в мою школу, где я учился, и пытались меня найти. Иногда приходили в мой двор и пытались меня найти. Иногда у нас были драки, но все неофашисты, как и другие вот эти агрессивные группы, которые существуют сейчас, они любят атаковать только когда у них есть численное преимущество. Вот когда их 10 на 1, 5 на 1, хотя бы 3 на 1. Скинота, как мы ее называли, никогда не атакует 1 на 1. То есть нет такого, что вот, ну разве что если там этот человек идет с каким-то холодным или еще каким-то там оружием. Вот, и стало правда небезопасно жить в Ялте для меня. И я уехал учиться в Луганск. Почему из Ялты я уехал учиться в Луганск, а не в Киев, Днепропетровск, Харьков, Львов? Кто может отгадать? Украинский контекст не представляете. Что? Что это значит? Sorry? No, no. Why I moved from Yalta to Lugansk? I tried to entrance university in Moscow, but I failed. And the only chance for me to go to university was Lugansk and Donetsk. Why not other parts of Ukraine? Yeah, of course, because all universities, like majority of universities were in Ukrainian, and in Yalta it was a kind of no Ukrainian language. We had in school two Ukrainian languages per week, but usually we had these protests against Ukrainian language. It was a kind of cultural protest in my school, at least. Yeah, so I moved to Lugansk, where I entrance university, and for me it was quite. I was happy when I moved to Luhansk, because I had this chance to go to pass through skinheads, and they were not identifying me as their main enemy. And I was so lucky for these first 2 years of my study. But then I organized a rock festival against Nazism, and yeah. And they started to attack me and my friends already in Luhansk. All skinheads in Ukraine were connected with Russia. In Yalta, when Ukrainian police started to control them, they transformed their community from skinhead and neo-Nazi to
Rocker?
No. Rockers are rockers, it's a kind of freaks for them. Do you know? Yeah, please. Separatists? Yeah. Kind of, but there are a very concrete name of this group in Yalta that was developed in the end of 90s and first part of 2000. Now, Kazaki. It's these guys with very pro-Russian and very neo-Nazi point of views, but very recognized by church, somehow, government, local representatives, because they have their funny costumes, weapon actually, and they have money somehow. Yeah, it was the same in Lugansk. Because Luhansk has a border with Don, this river, Don River, and it is a big amount of Don Cossacks who are also traditionally, from my point of view, are very xenophobic and very anti-Semitic and so on and so on. And till 2004, I was just doing my arts and having troubles with skinheads. And in 2004, revolution came, Orange Revolution. It was the first revolution in Ukraine. And we participated and actually win the revolution. But you need to know that in Lugansk, 96% were against revolution. They voted for Yanukovych because he was our guy, you know, from our soul, a grassroots gangster. Then I moved my activities from arts to political activism. I was very inspired by one Russian art group. Maybe you heard about them, maybe already not, Vojna. They were extremely popular somehow. Who knows about Vojna? Can you show me your hands? Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah, strongly recommend to read about them. Yeah, I was really very inspired, and we even did some actions. Like, for example, we captured some trains in Luhansk because we tried to protest against the reconstruction of trains and tram system, etc. Anyway, in 2014, when the war started, I was the first person who moved from Luhansk. Really the first one. Why I moved in 7th of March 2014? Because I was extremely active in Luhansk in civil society activism and art activism, and all police know us as a freaks who are trying to protest against everything. And they actually know that we are not aggressive, we are really very, how to say, mission-driven people. So they just called me and say, you know, probably you shouldn't stay at home anymore. Can you move somewhere? Yeah, and I moved. And all my friends from Luhansk said that I'm Slovak. How to say it in English? Yeah, I'm a softy person, and they will stay and defend Luhansk for the last blood. Then two of my friends were captured by strange people with weapon and stayed in prison for some days, and then all other my friends moved. Because it was no sense to stay and to protest against people with weapon. And I can make another lecture about who are these people, but I will try to explain it in 1 minute. All Donbass was created as a region on the very special place where you can find coal and металлическая руда, something that you use to have a metal stuff. How you call it? Yeah, something like metallurgical stuff. They started to build this Donbass region in 18th century, and before it was so-called Diké Pole, wild place. It was no trees, no water, nothing. No people who lived there. Only few settlements on the rivers. And then industrialization, guys from Belgium and Britain and Germany came and started to build factories. And then around the factories they started to build cities, towns. And in 90s, all those factories and шахты, where you have coal. Кто играет в компьютерные игры, вы должны... Mines, yeah. Mines? Mines. Yeah, so all factories and mines were just распилены, just disappeared. And all these people who lived around have no work, no opportunities, no future. So-called ghost cities, города-призраки. And when Russian soldiers came to Donbass, they made a deal with these people. We will give you a weapon, and you can come to any supermarket and take whatever you want. And it was so great deal for these very marginalized people who never ever see something except their ghost cities, towns, that they decided to do that. It wasn't people from Luhansk or from cultural or educational centers. It was very marginalized part of society who just realized that they can take as many bottles of vodka as they want, just showing the gun in the supermarket. Yeah, so with the help of Russian troops, Donbass was occupied and the war started, and during this time I moved to Ivano-Frankivsk, which is a very far west part of the country, close to Polish border, nearby Carpathian Mountains. And when I moved, I received an invitation from human rights organization to be part of a very secret project. The name of the project was Young Voices of Peace. Yeah, and in 2016 or 15, we met each other in this very secret project of dialogue in between Russians and Ukrainians. It was so secret that, and it was so, how to say, такое неподдерживаемое в обществе. It was, yeah, kind of marginalized idea of putting together activists from Russia and Ukraine. Because it was a war, Russians didn't recognize the war in Donbass. They said, oh no, it's just some great separatists who are fighting for their freedom. It's no our troops, and also no our troops in Crimea. You remember, like green человечки, just some soldiers who appeared in Crimea. Wow, that's not we. Yeah, and in 2015, for the first time, I heard the topic of peace building, and I heard for the first time about International Day of Peace. It was a powerful idea of my colleagues who decided to organize these International Peace Days in Russia and Ukraine. Why are you laughing?
It wasn't me, but
yeah, but it was some group of. It was a group of Russian, very powerful activists who decided to do International Peace Days in Russia, and they proposed us to do that in Ukraine with the same message and with the same methodology. And this methodology we called Open Kitchen, because the idea was take a table to the street, just to random street, and to invite passing by people to talk about peace. Powerful idea, and it was lots of challenges for me after that. Okay, I will try to find you some photos of this first. Yeah, that's two peace-building activists from Russia came, and we decided to organize a discussion. This is Коля. Где там еще? So the idea was just to put the table and to start to talk. And it was already a big amount of IDPs, internally displaced persons like me, who moved from Donbass and Crimea to western part, and we invited them, and we invited everyone to talk with Russian human rights defenders. For me, it was clear that it's a great message. Why not to talk with people who are fighting against Russian authorities, Russian authoritarianism, system. But we received not only critics, but also we received near 100 ultra-right representatives of ultra-right groups who decided that we are separatists who wants to bring Russian world to the famous Western Ukrainian city. And we received fine for this table because they said that this is forbidden to put the architecture on the streets. Take a look to the architectural construction. Yeah. Yeah, and also we received lots of hate about our organization. And in that moment I realized that I'm doing something wrong. It doesn't work like that. Probably we shouldn't just invite some Russian activists and try to talk without any preparation. After that, some of our friends already started to have problems. I mean, friends from Russia. And we decided to use another methods of speaking about peace. I'm trying to use my PDF, so sometimes I will do strange things on the screen. Sorry. Yeah. We decided to create a flag of peace. It's a kind of participatory way of showing your peaceful attitudes. And you see some police women who are contributing to our famous flag. Yeah, and I'm really proud that we managed to invite very, very, very diverse representatives, like people, to participate. We had here, for example, flags and signs from Kurds and Turks, from Armenian and Azerbaijan, from IDPs and local, like, aborigines, yeah? And everyone actually really were happy to participate. All people in the streets. It was a nice day and it was perfect. And we had this flag, we created this flag and we used this flag for a while. But what I realized, that unfortunately, this method doesn't help people to rethink about peace. Yes, they are contributing, but if you will ask them, what does it mean peace for you? They will not answer, or they will answer very different, yeah? Armenians will say, peace for us is to have Karabakh as a part of our culture. And people from Azerbaijan will say, peace for us is to have Karabakh as a part of our culture because it's recognized by UN as our territory, it's occupied territory. So it wasn't clear for me before we started to do that. And then I realized that this is a great participatory method, but unfortunately it doesn't help to talk about peace. Let's go next. Next year, okay. Or the same year. Yeah, also we invited very different activists to do different kind of events. Like this is an event in a rock festival, music festival, and these two guys are our facilitators. They decided that they will talk about peace in these costumes. Why not? I mean, no sense, but nice picture. Yeah, and it was more like informational campaign. But what I'm proud that when we announced in 2017, is it 2017? Yes, when we announced in 2017 and 2018 that we want to organize interventions and actions, direct actions about peace during International Peace Day, we received more than 80 applications. So more than 80 communities all over Ukraine started to talk about peace. But in very, you see, like grassroots way. Because we didn't give them any kind of methodology. We just said, okay, you want to talk about peace. Let's do that. We will put you onto the map. We will support you informationally. We will encourage you. Yeah, this is my favorite way of talking about peace, is to make gloves. Gloves, yeah? This bird, how you call it? Doves, yeah. Doves. This is like famous way of talking about peace. You can talk from 0 age, and if you will propose to teachers from post-Soviet countries to organize a lesson about peace, 99% that they will create these doves. In any country of post-Soviet. Yeah, this is that I'm kind of proud of. During this year, in 2017 or 18, I don't remember actually, we also decided to organize cultural diplomacy action about peace. When International Peace Day came, we had a big conference in Berlin, and we invited activists who are somehow connected or who are from Ukraine to develop the their message and to go out from the streets to the Berlin city center and to try to do this intervention with passing by Germans. The idea was to break stereotypes about Ukrainians and about Ukraine, and to pay attention to the war that was already 3 years in Ukraine, but lots of people still didn't recognize this war. And also we gave some funny questions to these people and asked them to answer. And it was 2 questions, like first, is Ukraine is part of European Union? And probably 50% said yes. And the second question was even more funny. Is it true that famous boxer Klitschko is mayor of Kiev? Is it true or not? You know, famous boxer Klitschko, you know, the champion of boxers. Is he a mayor of Kiev or not? Yes, already for 8 years. The mayor of the capital is a boxer. And actually here, the mayor of Tbilisi is, who knows who is he?
Football player.
Yeah, football player. So this is a kind of also post-Soviet tradition probably, I don't know. Okay, so it was this kind of like science, like I don't want to move out from Ukraine, ask me why. I have worked in Donbas region. Actually, she's from Spain. And I'm Ukrainian mother to be. And you see she's probably not sure that she's happy about that. Yeah. What next? Bio. Sorry. I'm trying to find some pictures to you. Yeah. In 2019, we decided that we need to focus on the special place. In Ukraine, there are different cities. Some of them are famous because of their architecture. Some of them are famous because of their, I don't know, culture, money, etc. And only one city in Ukraine, probably 2, are famous as intercultural cities with deep diversity. Like, one is Odessa. You know, like this Jewish culture and Russian speaking and Ukrainian mentality. And second one, probably most of you already heard about this city, unfortunately. But probably you are never imagined that this city is the most intercultural city in Ukraine and had this status from Council of Europe and have this on their policy level, and they are celebrating International Peace Day for at least 10 years. The city is Melitopol, which now became the capital of Zaporizhzhia People Republic. This is a city just nearby the Crimea. Just like they called themselves the gate to Crimea. The most tasty sweet cherry, the most tasty grapes, peaches, some mafia, of course. You remember, everything about Crimea is about mafia. Just keep in mind, because there are lots of money that was moving to Crimea from Minsk, from Moscow, from St. Petersburg, from all over the world. I forgot to say you. Yalta had their slogan. Yalta feels themselves as a capital. And it was even billboards that said that Yalta is a capital of Black Sea. Yalta is a capital of the world. Great. Exactly. Yalta столица мира. This is the main slogan of Yalta. Yalta is so poop земли that you even can't imagine. It's like poop of the poop of the poop земли, if it's possible. And Melitopol is just a gate to Crimea. And we decided to come to the city and to organize International Peace Day in the most intercultural city of the country. And you know what? All inhabitants of Melitopol can say, if you will ask them about Melitopol, they will say, we're the most intercultural city. They use this word, intercultural. Only they know this word, because this is their policy. I don't know if it's possible in other countries, but in Ukraine, only they know about this intercultural city. They explain that they are staying together peacefully, and they have more than 120 nationalities in the city. But that's all that they can say about peace. Anything else? And we realized that it's no sense to organize this kind of events, because all people already kind of supporting peace, but that doesn't mean that they can explain what peace means. Yeah. And we organize this festival in the main square, and also we create this map of Ukraine. It's we, and this is a map of Ukraine. And we decided to make it, this patchwork technique. Yeah, is it the right word? Patchwork techniques, because we want to show that Ukraine is very diverse country, intercultural, rich, etc. So it doesn't work. Unfortunately, festivals in the cities, even in very progressive, it doesn't work to build peace. From my point of view, maybe you will give me another examples. Okay, what next? Yeah. 2020, COVID, you can't do any kind of activities except riding bicycles. And yeah, we decided to use this methodology just to show that we are supporting human rights and that we are supporting Belarus activists. You see this Belarus flag on, and that we are welcome to Belarus activists in need. And when we posted this photo in 21st of September 2020, we also invited Belarus activists to come to our city, Ivano-Frankivsk, and we gave them обещание, we promised them to help them with registration. And after that, we received more than 50 requests, and till February 2022, we in our organization had 48 Belarus volunteers who were registered as volunteers, because the challenge was for them, when they moved to Ukraine, they can stay only for 90 days. And then they should go back or move to another country. And the problem was that mostly all of them had criminal investigations. And also they had no Schengen visas. And the only legal way is or to go married, or to find your roots, Ukrainian roots, I mean, or to be an international volunteer of youth organization. And this is we. Yeah. Unfortunately, mostly all of them moved when the war started, but there are near 10 who is still our volunteers and who are staying with us. We probably... Okay, yeah. 2021. In 2021, we decided to make a very special focus. We decided that our International Peace Day will be not only about peace, but about reintegration of people from occupied areas. This is a very hot topic nowadays, because Ukrainians very often forgot that people are staying in Crimea, Donbass, and now like other regions, not by their will sometimes, but because they have elderly parents that they need to stay with. They have no money to move or have no chance to move. They have some problems. That's because they're staying. In fact, they're заложники. Of the Russian regime, and they kind of should stay, like they must stay. Also because, for example, they have, I don't know, do you know this system? In Crimea, all people should have Russian passports. Because without Russian passport, you can't go to the doctor, you can't have your property, the property will be confiscated, you can't have job, etc. So almost all people, 99% of the people in Crimea now have Russian passports. Actually, these passports are not recognized in any other countries except Russia, because if Russian passport was made in Crimea, it sounds like Russian passport that was created, I don't know, in Great Britain. Yeah, and they will say, okay, Great Britain as a part of Russian Federation gave you this passport. Yeah, like sounds tricky. But all people have Russian passports now in Crimea. So technically they are Russian citizens. In fact, they're prisoners. Of course, there are some who love to be prisoner, who are very fan of being a Russian. But the challenge is that they can't go abroad because it's very complicated to receive visa to this Russian passport. So if you want to go abroad, you don't need to receive passport in Crimea. You need to go to another district of Russia and apply for international passport, this international Russian passport, not in Crimea. I don't know, in Krasnodar, what do you know, Pskov, I don't know, I have no idea what is this city about, but like in Moscow, everywhere else except Crimea. Because if you have passport from Crimea, you can't receive visa to this passport. So first, you need to go out from Crimea, create your international passport, then try to receive visa, and only then you can move, even if you're Ukrainian. But all Ukrainians try to keep their Ukrainian passports. For example, my mother, who is in Crimea, she has two passports. One to go out from Crimea, like a red one, a Russian one, and then another one, blue one, Ukrainian, to entrance Ukraine, or to entrance any Ukrainian, like any countries of European Union. This is a kind of the only way, because you can't travel by Ukrainian passport in Russia, and you can't travel with Russian passport everywhere. Like, Yeah. But unfortunately, majority of people in Crimea have no international Ukrainian passports. They have only this old one. Sometimes it's already expired, but they still keep it that because this is the only chance for them to move now out. And some of my friends moved just in February and March 2022 using these different ways of moving out. Okay, this is the performance of our friends from Central Asia, from Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. Maybe you heard that these countries are also in war in between each other just nowadays. And this is a team of artists who are doing a performance about peace. In Ivano-Frankivsk, we invited near 50 people to the performance. And after the performance, we asked them to talk about peace. And what I need to say is that when you first explain people what does it mean peace, even through arts, even through artistic ways, then you can speak with them and they will be more contributive, more open for dialogues, for discussions. The performance was about war in Tajikistan, civic war in Tajikistan in 90s. Actually, 100,000 people died during this war. Did you hear about this? I never heard about that before 2021. About Tajik civic war in 90s. And 65,000 children lost their parents and stayed in orphanages. Yeah. And the girl who stayed in this orphanage, then she became a well-known artist in Tajikistan, and then she created this performance. And after the performance, we already started to talk about peace with our methodology that I will show you a little bit later. But using this methodology, we decided to go all over Ukraine, and actually we visited different cities, different places. We started from the border from Hungarian border. It's Uzhgorod, Bakos, and moved through Ivano-Frankivsk, and then to the east, up to Bilovodsk and Starobilsk. This is two Ukrainian cities which is now occupied by Russian troops. And also to the south, to Melitopol and Novakhovka, which is now also occupied by Russian troops. Just 1 year ago, 1 year and 10 days ago, I was just nearby this nuclear завод, I не знаю. Nuclear, how you say? Reactor. Yeah, nuclear reactor, which is now bombed by Russians. Probably all of you heard about this nuclear place, and we just passed by with our peace-building intervention, with our theater, with our artists, with our peace dialogues. 50% of places that we visited now occupied. And the good news is that when the war started, local organizers, local activists who did these peace-building dialogues in eastern parts of Ukraine decided to support each other. And there are two cases where organizers of our peace dialogues from the east and south moved to western part, to Transcarpathian region and to Ivano-Frankivsk region, when they lost everything, when they lost their homes, when they lost all their money, all their belongings. Now they are staying in our region, in our organization, and in our partner organization, who were responsible for organizing these peace dialogues. And they are now working with internally displaced persons as a psychologists, as a educators, as a facilitators, because 1 year and 10 days ago, they were part of this peace-building dialogue. And they can say that this is the sign that this method works. Yeah. Probably now I want to invite you to speak a little bit, if it's okay, because we with Polina made some printing materials. I'll just leave you to read about our organization, just in case. Yeah, so the idea is that now you will, that I heard from people when I put table on the streets. That's because we developed this structured dialogue about peace, structured dialogue, using the book of the guy who were our trainer, Enver Juleman. He actually died in 2020, but he created a book. He was originally from Balkans and created a book, Примирение, reconciliation, science during the way. And we took this book, take some ideas from this book, and created a kind of board game where people should decide what does it mean live peacefully in the society. So I want to invite you to use this methodology, and then we will have this Q&A session. Yeah. Is it okay?
So yeah, it's totally okay, ultimately okay. And as we agreed before the lecture, we're gonna have this like outrageous interactive part that you all, I'm sorry, but obliged to participate in right now as you're trapped here. The door is closed, by the way. Oh no. Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be like this interactive part right now, and let's try. I mean, we all know that it's, as you mentioned already, it's quite hard to like break through all these patterns that are being put on us, right? In means of like peace-building discourse, democracy discourse, or liberal, or whatever political views we have, or moral values we have. But let's try probably to open up a little bit and think critically and talk openly, being ready to be questioned and be ready to be questioning others in this kind of space that is pretty much a safe space, I think, tonight. So nobody's gonna be slapped, but we are hopefully gonna discover something about ourselves and peace-building approaches in the a little bit more maybe constructive way, maybe, yeah.
I will see.
Yeah, so I'm ready to serve you with a mic.
I just need some printing materials, and I will help to sit. Okay, we just need to sit in the circle, and we need to have the floor, because we will use some papers. It's a very easy task. I need to say that we did this during this year in Switzerland, in Germany, in Kassel during the Documenta, in Czech Republic during the Eastern Partnership Youth Conference, in Poland, in Finland. So this is a methodology that was created in Ukraine with support of our Russian friends, and that is now spreading in different places. Okay, I will give you the instruction, because there are, like, when we are talking about peace, we're talking about not negative peace. Negative peace, you know, what does it mean, negative peace and positive peace? Negative peace is something that we in Ukraine really want now. That means just stop fighting and killing people. That calls negative peace in peace building theory. When there is no war anymore. Positive peace is a kind of a situation where all people are connected, like social cohesion. Probably heard about this. Yeah, like something that is needed to be united as a society. And our task for today is to build a diamond of peace. Diamond, can I show you how it looks? Like, I will give you some parts of the piece, and you will build like a kind of this structure, you know, bam, 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 and oh wow, and like this is diamond. It will be at the end of our game. I will give it back. So the problem is that we have no printing materials, but we will create it by ourselves. We are very powerful. And yeah, the idea is that I will give you some names, some words. You will write one part of the words, you will write another one, and then all together we will try to discuss. So I'm just reading the first, and all others are listening and thinking, because then you need to discuss what is the starting point of peace, positive peace, yeah? Because we need to answer the question, how to build peace in the society, or how to live peacefully, from what to start and what will be like the end. Okay, first word I will ask to write you. Remembrance. And the second word, trust. Inner peace. And you are writing responsible citizenship or participation. The third word is dialogue. You're writing money for peace, resources for peace. Safety. Oh? Yeah, it's like yeah, like this. I mean, because it's, you know, more general for us, not universal. And for you, language for understanding. When we're talking about language for understanding, it's not about common language like Russian, Ukrainian, English, but more language of understanding. Just a remark. Who writes in your language, yeah? And education. Integration of people and acceptance. And you're writing law and regulations. Good neighborliness. It's my favorite line. In Ukraine we have this word. We call it добросусідство. Like добро соседей. Да, but how to say it in English? Good neighborliness. Правда. Но не в смысле, что вот это правда, а вот доступ к правде.
Access to reliable information.
Да, но уже звучит не так красиво, как доступ к правде.
Truthful information, maybe.
Yeah, let's say truthful information. Yeah. That's all. Now your task is, without our help, build the... I forgot. You can write your own bricks. If needed.
So, just a question.
Yeah.
I don't think I need a mic. Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. So when we are going to build this diamond of peace, does it mean that we already have this positive peace? Because how do you see the solving and building the diamond peace when we still need to talk about negative peace?
Yeah, we are talking now not about Ukrainian situation, of course. We are talking about situation in your country.
Yeah, I'm talking about my country.
Yeah. And of course, if it's about negative peace, let's not put it into the account. Now, we're talking about positive peace. I mean, we are living in the peaceful society with lots of challenges, and we need to build positive peace. This is the task to you.
Yeah, so how much time do we need? Like a couple of minutes, 5 minutes?
Usually it's 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah, but
Okay.
if you need a little bit more,
So we're gonna hide
Um,
somewhere, but please feel free. I think it's gonna be essential to bring up something new to this. So
And maybe I will give you one more short suggestion. It will be to make this exercise more interesting. We will do like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are discussing in your small group how to build this. You're sitting. Take a seat here. You are discussing in your group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is your group. 1, 2, 3, and you are discussing in this group. You are building this group. So you need first to discuss in your small groups where to start.
some pieces are missing, some terms, some concepts are missing from this group of elements. So please contribute if you feel like this.
Вам нужно здесь записать. Вам нужно, да, решить, как это будет ваша картинка мира. You're ready, isn't it? Mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
How is that trust?
Are you ready?
No, but it's okay.
Okay. Dear participants, now the task is just very easy. You need to discuss all together and to build your diamond. I'm sure that probably you have the similar answers, so just discuss some details and show us the final diamond.
So we came at it from the perspective of some things are maybe more important than others. It's the way to build something, the way to build a shape, and we thought that there might be pillars or corners of the diamond. So we tried to start. Sort of talking about what's more important, what's less important. Yeah, we wondered if there were a few red herrings in there, like patriotism, or things we could see the place for more things, for some things more than others. Don't know if that's a good way to start.
I think we also kind of decided that one of the most central building blocks of peace was inner peace, and it was kind of, you needed to have mostly the other things, and it was one of the building blocks to reach after having achieved the other bases.
Can you show where you maybe already put it, this, what you mentioned, put where you want to, and then other groups will make their, okay.
To make it clear, the middle is kind of like the goal, the aim.
Yeah. You mentioned that you already finished, so maybe you will.
We talked about the importance of having the freedom of expression. So, right, you know, in the usual sense of the term, so the ability to just express your feelings, express your thoughts without having to hold back or be scared to express yourself. And then also along with that, the opportunity to express creativity, so through art, through music, through culture, all these kind of mediums in which we can, which create a sense of belonging and we can share with one another. And we found this important for nation building, for peace building. And also we talked about a curiosity and interest in different culture. And the rest of that was in Russian, so I didn't really get much of it, but that's what I'd like to add.
Yeah, the main thing we spoke about in our group, we had quite a heated debate about whether the centre of the diamond or the outside is the strongest bit. We don't really get anywhere with that. But the main thing we sort of came up with was that here you have values, and then you also have more institutional things. By that I mean safety and security, law and regulations, rule of law and all that. But there's a lot of very unstable countries that purport to have all of these, but because they're not underpinned by strong values, they fail. So we were thinking, regardless of whether it's the outside or the inside, that the most important things are the values, and we particularly spoke about trust and dialogue and these sort of things. So yeah, that was the main thing that we came up with in our group.
Can I ask a little question? Sure. Yeah. Trust towards whom, from whose side?
I think just a general understanding of trust between any particular parties, and so long as that there is trust between, an agreement of trust between two individuals regardless of views or opinions, from that you can work to form a healthy relationship and dialogue going forward. So you can feel from having a basic understanding of trust, remembrance and open dialogue, you can work outwards from that and begin to put in these other things law and regulation or safety and security. The understanding and agreement between two people needs to be there before you can actually have peace.
Thank you. Yeah, for this comment, why I asked this question, because again, I've spent significant amount of years, pretty much almost all my life at this moment, in Russia and in the Russian context, despite several years abroad. And I understand very clearly that the term of trust has been manipulated in some states a lot, right? And people who are fallen victims of propaganda, they can honestly say that they trust the government. They're using the same term, that trust is based on fear and the lack of security that is very much requested obviously, from any human being, but they're using the same rhetoric, right? That's why like this term of trust is very is becoming very broad and vague at some point, right? Yeah, that's why I was asking. Yeah.
Just very small comments. Like while we think that rule of law is like cornerstone in peace building, we still believe that the role of community is even important. And one of the pillars we highlighted was the responsible participation as well. And we believe that it's like peace building starts from the responsible participation, from the like sound, like the voice of the cities, population, people, and responsible citizens. And then this is kind of very good point to start thinking and pushing the rule of law and the peace building between the nations.
But have you thought, like, other two groups, how it should be structured? So you've seen your core values as trust, for example, in the middle too, or on the top, or how it was on the bottom, like, because it was supposed to be like some kind of crystal form.
Yeah, maybe we can give you 5 more minutes just to build at least simple form, because now I have a feeling that you are, but really when you can't finish the exercise, it's, you know, this feeling of неудовлетворенность, like you need to finish, at least put, I don't know, 4 main pillars of positive peace together. I can invite Polina to talk with me one more time for 5 minutes. Just create any figure. Okay, let's not talk about, but at least where to start. What is the most important thing? What do you think about peace?
But should it be the ultimate group work result? Or
all group result. The whole group.
Okay.
You already discussed in small groups. You already have this kind of different arguments. Just use it and build. You are builders of peace, not only discussers.
But I know that we probably, like, stop me if you disagree, and it's not the way we should follow. We are talking about the concept of the positive peace, but at the same time, I think it's important not to neglect, for example, some disagreements that you had on the way to restructuring the term of positive peace. So don't try to necessarily bring up something positive and clear right now, right? Like our group, or I've seen this way, but probably share some obstacles and complications that you came across while you were discussing. It would be really interesting to hear.
In some groups, this exercise are 2 hours long. Sometimes people can't disagree at all. So you are very fast. So can we start? Let's go.
Maybe slowly.
Just take a mic and tell all of us what is happening on the floor.
Yeah.
I think most importantly, like at the beginning, we all got rid of patriotism straight away. We all agreed that's not important for a peaceful, I guess, society or just peace in general. And I don't think any of these building blocks, I think we all pretty much agreed none of these building blocks rely on patriotism. You just don't need it. So we've completely gotten rid of that from the diamond.
And I think that maybe if we gonna talk about like a negative piece, we will need patriotism. Yes, and this is also important to understand.
Who wants to tell whole story? Maybe you, because you were very active in.
No, I was not, but I have something to say. Yeah, I think it's how to say, in this process, I think we also observed a kind of a need for compromise. So we realized that we wouldn't be able to make a perfect model of peace with these bricks and with all the humans, all the people that we have, because these things are definitely very interconnected. And this is just my personal opinion, but it's also possible that for different communities, different bricks would be more important or of probably needed to be more prioritized.
And we were also discussing sometimes whether one brick is more important than another, or one brick comes from another, or what is the basis of what and how things interact. And we had different opinions on that, but a lot of the time we also meant the same using different wording.
Like and also observing the situation, like the way we were discussing. Obviously, we had a different opinions, but not too much like skewness between these opinions about like importance of each pillars. But I think we all agree that in order to our target goal for us to build this diamond of peace is to build trust and inner peace. So all we do with these all activities is because we need to achieve trust between communities and inner peace on an individual level. You can say if you don't agree with me.
Take a mic.
Okay, some other comments maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're also finding that there's lots of things like, for example, freedom of expression, and I can't remember what the other one that you were saying was, Carolina, but things that have come from the same place, like trust or inner peace, being on opposite sides of the diamond is really confusing because, yeah, you don't know whether you should put them together because they're connected or whether you should separate them because they mean similar things. I think that was something we were finding. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, when we got rid of patriotism, I sort of thought about it on a more macrocosmic level, like if you want to have peace amongst us now, you know, to sort of take out the ego, not be so tribal about things, and even, you know, between two people, you know, taking out the ego and not being so selfish. It's maybe a way to achieve peace.
I guess patriotism could be understood as a way to know where you're coming from. You can possibly connect it with remembrance, but at the same time patriotism is so abused that you would want to explain yourself very well if you're using it in terms of this discussion.
Yeah. If you want. Yeah, sure.
And then the floor will be yours.
Then we will just finalize and maybe also discuss. Maybe you will have some questions to me, or
yeah, just a tiny comment, because while I was listening to this and people mentioning some bricks, I was constantly thinking, as I'm thinking all the time, that many of these like positive peace building bricks should be constantly problematized, right? As for example, freedom of expression or trust or money money flow into peace building, or however it was called. So does it mean, and it's a question to you, does it mean that like one of the basement bricks of peace building should be creating the space for like freedom of approaches for some terms, right? Because we cannot take them boldly, right, as they are written down. So does it mean that peace building is in the core, is about creating the space for discussion, I think, which we are recreating kind of tonight?
It's probably a question not to me, but to you. Usually I'm answering like this. All of us are experts in peace building because we're living in society, and to live in society you need to understand what does it mean to build peace. Probably none of us can survive without this peace building approach. And for me, probably all of us can maybe not to answer the question, but at least feel inside somehow what does it mean peace. I'm sure that you learned it from kindergarten, from from the first breath of your life, from the first communication with parents, with friends, with neighbors, with enemies, with aggressive guys in the metro station, and with all this, all our experience is about peace building, actually. And it's like all poetries are about love, and all arts is about love, or absence of love. So the piece is about the life. This is so all of this needs to be alive in the world and society. So this is more question without concrete answer, but what I see from your tree of peace is that you are more focusing on the personal level and dialogue, and then you're going to these basic needs like trust and security and law, and on the bottom you have remembrance as a result of peace. And I can say that in some groups it will be totally different picture. For example, in Ukraine, patriotism, security and law will be on the top. It's like the basis of peace building, because you need to understand who are you. And unfortunately, in some countries, in some groups, I can't say about countries, in some groups, people just throw away reintegration of people. And I faced with one group of teenagers in Switzerland who saw the word remembrance and said what the fuck is it? No remembrance, we don't need remembrance. It's a kind of the synonym for them, it was a kind of synonym of patriotism, remembrance. It's something not important at all, actually, in your schemas. But for Balkans, for people from Balkans, remembrance is the main issue. And the book that this guy wrote, it was a lot about remembrance and truth. It was because in Balkans conflict, it was the main topic. I will remember who we are. I will remember that we were killed, that we were murdered. I will remember that
we were the dogs.
Yeah. And now we have totally other picture. Probably we need to close our discussion, but maybe you have some questions to me or to other group members.
Just a question, please, because it's kind of I have some kind of internal conflict about, and I think that was the reason I asked my first question. Like, and the way you elaborated confirmed that somehow perhaps my idea was not that. It's not really hard. It's not really easy to isolate your personal perspectives. So in different groups and in different countries, this diamond would have like thousands of different shapes, because people still see the peace and peace building, the process itself, through their perspectives. So this is ideal world for me, really. I really want to live in this world. That's why I'm not criticizing this. Obviously, I'm not. However, I don't know how is it really possible to build peace in different group of societies with absolutely different values and the language of understanding and different perspectives. So that's the only, I don't know whether it's a question or whether it's just my kind of not very positive or, you know, not very positive perspective of peace building in a way. However, obviously I am the one who is a huge supporter of peace, and I will also be a part of the peace building process. Just want to see the clear and very potentially successful way of peace building, and analyzing all these different groups and different perspectives. Obviously thinking through myself first. Sometimes it makes it even harder to understand the process. Sorry about this, not very positive mode.
I want also to reflect. One of my friend from Prague Civil Society Center, who is a guy who was a refugee from Balkans, he said me a few years ago, you know, you don't need to build peace in between people who agree with each other and totally share with you your values. The challenge is to build peace in the society where people don't like each other. This is the aim of building peace. It's very easy for us to build peace when we are friends and we are drinking wine and we have the similar movies watched and books read. But this is very complicated to be friends with those who you probably don't like. But that is the task. And that because we are going to the streets with this exercise, not to the expert community usually, but to the streets. And as for me, this is a kind of roadmap for people. Lots of people who participated in this exercise gave us very positive feedback, because they said, I never ever had a chance to talk about peace for so long time, because you can't talk about that with your partners or with your, I don't know, parents. It's not a culture to take a tea and say, okay, let's talk about how to build peace in our society. So for me, it's important to involve just randomly people who disagree with each other. For sure, find something in common. I don't know, maybe trustful information or security. I can't imagine that there are some people who will say, I'm against security. I want to be insecure in this society, and I want to be discriminated and, you know, attacked, etc. So for me, it's important to talk with people who are not agree with you.
Maybe so we need
I will. I'll try to help you.
Спасибо. I think maybe we need shared activities, because all that we're doing now is activity. And maybe we need to start from this point to do something and dialogue and something else will be created in this activity, positive activity. I think so.
So yeah, maybe to wrap up all the comments and Yaroslav's professional and personal perspective, am I right that the main thing is to keep the engagement, I think, of the society into this kind of conversations, activities, exercises, reflections, reading.
Yeah. I have a dream to have this exercise in every school, in every class.
Right.
I mean, the challenge is, and maybe you will find the way, the challenge is that with children, it's not, they can't explain mostly half of these words. And we're still looking for the model of how to talk with children, with kids about peace, which is very important. But there are some words that I don't know how to translate to the child-friendly language. If you will find some solutions, maybe you have some translators to the child language, please contact me with this person. I love to have this translation of the word remembrance to the child-friendly language and all this other stuff. But for sure, for me, yes, activity and everyday activity, like peace is something that we need to build, like from morning to the evening and even during the party, and of course with people from different groups. Yeah, I have a dream to have this exercise in every school, once a month, for example, and to see, you know, how they are changing their attitudes. I don't know, maybe from the person at the 5th score they build this way, and then in 11th they have already like totally different view, but at least they have a view of building peace.
Thank you very much. I think we will wrap up at this mildly positive note. And I think we all been given some hints on how, on which levels we can hope for peace, kind of, from like structural educational reforms to a personal level of discussing, of like creating spaces for discussions with our friends, relatives, or community members, which would definitely think sometimes that we are like annoyingly longing for some agreement or for some acceptance or for mutual openness. But it's kind of inevitable if we are longing for peace, I think, right? So we all have a lot of work to do, being from very different political, social, and historical backgrounds, as we are all here. But there are some entry points to act, apparently. Thank you very much, Yaroslav, and thank you everyone for participating tonight. Thank you.